You wake up, open your banking app, and see that your paycheck has finally arrived. For about 60 seconds, you feel secure. But then the automatic payments start to hit. A chunk goes to the credit card minimum, another slice to the car loan, then the installment plan for that purchase you made months ago but barely use anymore. Before you even get out of bed, a significant part of your income is already gone. You are working hard. You are earning a good income. But you are using the money of today to pay for the decisions of the past. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The heaviest part of consumer debt is not the interest rate. It is the quiet panic. It is the silent shame of feeling like you are stuck while everyone else seems to be moving forward. Modern financial culture tells you to either hustle until you burn out to pay it off, or ignore the numbers and hope for the best. But today, we are going to look at this through a different lens. We are going to use Japanese money habits to build a quiet system to pay off debt without losing your peace and without losing your sanity. Most people think paying off debt is purely a math problem. They believe the only way out is to earn more, pay more, and restrict every joy in life until the balance finally hits zero. Mathematically, that might make sense. But for many of us, debt is not a math problem at all. It is a psychological trap. When we feel ashamed of our financial situation, we avoid looking at the real numbers. When we feel panicked, we create drastic, punishing budgets that we abandon a few weeks later because they are completely unsustainable. We start treating our debt like a character flaw, a personal failure that requires suffering to fix. This is exactly where typical financial advice falls short. It relies entirely on willpower, guilt, and restriction. Japanese money habits are not magical solutions that will automatically wipe your balances clean overnight. Instead, they offer something much more valuable, a shift in perspective. They provide a cultural lens that allows you to slow money down, remove the heavy judgment, and build a quiet, efficient background system. A system that works with you, not against you. By looking at debt through principles of honest reflection, steady patience, and small adjustments, you can start clearing the financial weight while keeping your mind completely calm. Across many high-cost countries, the pattern is remarkably similar. Incomes may rise, but the cost of housing, groceries, and basic lifestyle maintenance rises faster. To bridge that gap, people increasingly lean on credit. Slowly, consumer debt becomes the invisible normal. But behavioral finance shows us something fascinating about how we handle this burden. People who associate their debt with personal failure, who feel deep shame about their balances, often take much longer to pay it off. The shame causes them to avoid looking at their accounts altogether. On the other hand, people who view their debts simply as a mechanical glitch in their system, a math problem that needs a calm solution, are the ones who actually succeed. This is where the Japanese approach to finance becomes so powerful. It shifts the focus away from anxiety and regret and places it entirely on awareness and system design. The cultural lesson here is not about beating yourself up for past spending. It is about understanding that you are not your debt. You simply need a clearer way to process it. The first quiet step on this journey begins with a willingness to look at what we have been avoiding, a practice the Japanese call Hansei, or honest reflection. For many people, the hardest part of being in debt is simply logging into the account to look at the total balance. We avoid it. We look away because the number feels like a judgment on our character, or a permanent stain on our financial record. The modern problem here is clear. We avoid reality to protect our ego in the short term. On the surface, the cost of this avoidance is obvious. Interest quietly compounds and balances stay stubbornly high. But the hidden weight is much heavier. It is the chronic anxiety of a financial dark cloud constantly hanging over your head. Hansei is about acknowledging a reality or a past mistake without punishing yourself. It is reflection without shame. The system fix here is simple, though briefly uncomfortable. Write down every single debt you owe on one piece of paper. Look at the total. Treat it as cold, boring data, not a personal indictment. Quiet wealth begins the day you stop fearing your own numbers. Once you can look at those numbers without flinching, the second shift happens when you make your cash flow completely visible through the practice of Kakeibo. It is very common to look at your monthly income and genuinely believe you have absolutely nothing left over to put toward your debt. Modern spending is designed to be completely frictionless. With one tap, money leaves your account for quick conveniences and digital upgrades before your brain even registers the transaction. The immediate cost is being trapped in the endless cycle of making only the minimum payments. But the deeper tragedy is that you are unknowingly paying for convenience with the exact dollars that could be buying back your freedom. The mental trap is believing that saving a few scattered dollars will not make a dent against a massive debt. Kakeibo, the traditional Japanese financial ledger, teaches us otherwise. It is not just about keeping a budget. It is a tool to slow money down so you can actually see it. The system fix is to manually track your spending for 30 days, find the invisible money leaks, and automatically redirect those small streams directly toward your balance. When you pay attention to your money starts paying attention to your goals. The third barrier to breakthrough involves releasing the heavy tax of perfectionism. Guided by the aesthetic philosophy of wabi-sabi, when you are quietly drowning in debt, one of the most common reflexes is to overcompensate. You continue to buy new clothes, attend expensive dinners, and upgrade your phone because you are terrified that if you step back, people will realize you are struggling. The financial drain of this behavior is clear. You keep accumulating new consumer debt just to manage the old debt. But the real toll is the profound exhaustion that comes from performing a fake level of success. We fall into the trap of lifestyle maintenance, so afraid of judgment that we pay a premium for perfection. Wabi-sabi offers a different way to live. It is the acceptance of imperfection, finding peace in things that are simple, aged, and unpolished. Applying this to your money means accepting a season of visible imperfection. Temporarily and unapologetically step down your lifestyle. Wear the older coat, drive the older car, decline the dinner invitation. Money becomes so much lighter when it is no longer forced to prove your worth to other people. Once you stop paying for appearances, the fourth habit requires a deep cleansing of your financial environment, a process known as Osoji. Modern spending relies heavily on the hope that you will forget about it. Subscriptions, unused gym memberships, and premium app features quietly siphon money out of your account every single month. You might notice losing a few $100s a year to things you do not use, but the invisible damage is worse. You are extending your timeline in debt by several months. The psychological trap keeping us here is the default effect. It is simply easier to let a $10 charge auto-renew than to navigate a confusing cancellation page. In Japan, Osoji is the traditional deep cleaning done to physically and spiritually reset a space. You need a financial Osoji. Print out your last 30 days of bank statements, take a pen, and ruthlessly cancel every single recurring charge that is not essential to your survival or your true joy. A quiet financial space is one where there are no invisible deductions stealing your future. The fifth sign of inner progress is when you actively stop comparing your journey to others. Practicing the principle of ubitori. One of the fastest ways to lose your sanity while paying off debt is looking at everyone else. You see peers buying houses, taking vacations, or upgrading cars, and you feel entirely left behind. The result is making impulse purchases just to feel normal, driven purely by the fear of missing out. The true cost is that it drains your emotional energy, tempting you to abandon your payoff plan altogether. We mistakenly assume that curated social media updates represent someone's entire financial reality. Ubai-tori is the Japanese concept that different trees, like the cherry and the plum, bloom at their own distinct pace. Applying this to your money means radically focusing only on your own season. Temporarily mute or unfollow accounts that trigger consumer envy, and instead focus solely on your own debt reduction chart. The only race worth winning is the race to reclaim your own peace. Sustaining this focus brings us to the sixth principle, which introduces something modern culture deeply dislikes: gamen, or the power of quiet endurance. We are wired to expect immediate results. When you start paying down debt, you want the balance to plummet instantly. But in the early months, progress feels agonizingly slow. Our impatience leads us to constantly switch financial strategies, always looking for a magic shortcut. This creates chronic stress because we are constantly fighting the reality of time. Relying on the dopamine of instant gratification is a trap. Paying off debt offers very little of that. Here, the concept of gaman becomes your anchor. It translates to enduring a difficult situation with patience and dignity. Stop checking your balances every single day. Automate your debt payments, accept the quiet endurance of the process, and let the system run in the background. Building freedom is rarely a miracle. It is usually a series of boring but disciplined days. The seventh adjustment shifts your focus away from waiting for major breakthroughs and places it on the concept of kaizen, letting small improvements compound. When trying to clear a large balance, it is tempting to wait for a massive windfall, like a tax refund or a work bonus, before making an extra payment. Compound interest continues working against you every single day you delay. Worse, you turn debt payoff into a rare, high-pressure event rather than a consistent habit. Assuming that throwing an extra $20 at a $10,000 debt is meaningless is a dangerous illusion. Kaizen, the philosophy of continuous, small improvements, proves otherwise. Make micropayments. Whenever you find an extra $20 or $50 from your financial Osoji, immediately transfer it to your balance. Those small actions, repeated long enough, will eventually bend the largest debts. This journey culminates in the eighth and final shift, connecting your financial recovery to your ikigai, giving your payoff a true purpose. Many people aggressively pay down their balances out of sheer hatred for the debt. But once the balance finally hits zero, they lack direction and slowly slide right back into borrowing, falling back into the endless debt cycle. Operating purely on anger and negative energy will eventually drain your mind completely. The trap is fixating entirely on what you are losing, the cash leaving your account, rather than what you are gaining. This is where you need ikigai, your reason for being, your purpose. Clearly define what paying off this debt actually buys you. Is it the ability to change careers? To sleep peacefully? To have choices? When you know exactly what future you are building, paying off debt is no longer a punishment. It becomes your liberation. Before this starts to sound like another video telling you to stop buying coffee, cut up all your cards, and never enjoy your life again, pause here. That is not the point. The point of these Japanese money habits is not to force you into a life of misery and deprivation. We are not trying to copy a culture mechanically, and this is certainly not about punishing you for the debt you have already accrued. The point is direction. It is about using a different lens to look at your financial reality. It is about waking up and choosing to stop paying for things that no longer serve your life. You do not have to rely on sheer, exhausting willpower to fix your finances. You just need a system that gives your money a clear, quiet purpose. So, what is your first step? Open your laptop tonight. We are going to build your action blueprint using two of the habits we just discussed. First, practice Hansei. List out every single debt you owe, from the smallest credit card balance to the largest loan. Choose a strategy, either the avalanche method, where you attack the highest interest rate first, or the snowball method, where you clear the smallest balance first to build momentum. Pick one target and pay only the minimums on everything else. Next, apply Osoji. Pull up your last 30 days of spending. Look closely at the recurring charges, the emotional purchases, and the hidden fees. Separate your true needs from your wants and isolate the leaks. Find just one leak today and cancel it. Take the $50 or $100 you just freed up and set up an automatic transfer directly to the target debt you selected. Automate this step so you never have to think about it again. You are no longer relying on exhausting willpower or motivation. You are now relying on a quiet, functioning system. Remember that feeling of panic when your paycheck disappears before you even get out of bed? You do not have to live there anymore. Debt moves fast, but you can defeat it with a quiet system. These Japanese money habits are not a magic wand that deletes your balances overnight. They are simply a lens that forces you to slow down, look at your reality without shame, and give your money a steady direction. Quiet wealth is not just about accumulating money. It is about buying back your freedom and your peace of mind. If this video helped you see your money differently and brought you a little calm today, please subscribe for more videos on quiet wealth and Japanese money habits. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only and is not personal financial advice. Financial rules, taxes, pensions, and investment products vary by country. Always consider your own situation and speak with a qualified professional when needed.